Yeah, I'm ready. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome this morning to the Municipality of the County of Kings Administration Building here in Colebrook. We're here this morning for a project update. We're in an attempt to update the public on some things the municipality is doing. We have brought some representatives together today. Similar to a sod turning, essentially. I'm Emily Lutz. I'm the Deputy Mayor of the County of Kings, and I'll be emceeing the event this morning. So a few guests we have in attendance with us today. We have our Deputy CIO, Rob Frost. We have Councillor Joel Hurdle from District 6 of the municipality. We have our Director of Finance, our CAO, and our Director of Communications. That's not your real title, but Outreach and Diversity, Brittany, to whom we owe a great debt of thanks for organizing our event today. So thank you, Brittany. So I will be inviting folks up to speak this morning, and we will be starting with our Member of Parliament for Kings Hants, Cody Boyce. And I told the speakers this already, but I will, for the public's sake, let you know that everyone will remain masked, and the podium will be wiped down in between speakers. So just have a little patience. I'm welcoming Cody up to speak, but he has to just wait 1 minute until we sanitize. All right.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Lutz. It's a privilege to be here today for the project update on behalf of the Municipality of Kings. I'll start by saying we know that rural broadband is a top priority for rural communities and people that live in it. I'm fortunate to be the chair of the Rural Caucus for the Liberal Party at the national level, and this was a priority that we know resonates across the country, but indeed right here in Kings Hants. The program that we're going to be talking about today as it relates to the Municipality of Kings is from the $500 million investment Connect to Innovate, a program that was announced in the last Parliament. And of course, the Municipality of Kings was successful in securing funding for that, and more details will be provided by Mayor Mattart. I'm certainly proud of the $2.5 million that is going to be contributed from the Government of Canada to help support connecting individuals in our communities, and certainly proud of the investment that the Municipality of Kings is making, stepping up as a municipality to make sure that they provide that service to their residents and the people that they represent. I would be remiss, Deputy Mayor, and I won't go too long, but I'd be remiss without mentioning that on Monday there was a $1.75 billion announcement from the Government of Canada on a new iteration from the Connect to Innovate to what's called the Universal Broadband Fund. As I mentioned, before the pandemic, we knew that rural broadband and connectivity, it's important to the vitality of rural communities. The pandemic has illustrated that that is something that is even more pressing, whether it's telehealth initiatives, whether it's education, the opportunity to run a business online. People will come and want to live in rural communities, especially with the beautiful communities we have here in Kings Hants, but we need to have them connected. So as the chair of Rural Caucus, I was very pleased to see that investment, and I'm hoping that under the leadership of the Municipality of Kings, perhaps there's more opportunities for them to leverage that funding to help support our connectivity effort. It won't be a silver bullet. There's still going to be more initiatives and funding that need to come forward, but it's certainly a step in the right direction. So I applaud the work of the Municipality of Kings. I applaud the work of our providers that are helping to make this happen, and I'll turn it over to Mayor Mattart. Thank you.
Thank you, Cody. Welcome, everyone, and those that are watching online. I want to say that the cooperation that we've received from the federal government, particularly from the representative from whom you just heard, has been superlative, and we're very, very grateful for that. As has been said, internet broadband services throughout the Municipality of Kings and elsewhere in rural Nova Scotia is no longer an optional item, it's a necessity. It's no different than electricity in its day, which rolled out very, very slowly until people realized that it was in fact a necessity. And what's brought the fact of it being a necessity so much to the forefront recently, of course, is this pandemic. So in addition to welcoming you all and being thankful to our representative and his government, I wanted to say that this, what we have now in terms of the iteration that we're embarking upon in Kings County is not our original concept. Our original concept was to roll out to every underserved and unserved individual property in the municipality of the County of Kings. The funding programs have been a bit slow to roll out. That's understandable. They're new. They have to go through departmental processes and analysis. We understand that. And don't mistake me, please. We're very grateful that we're getting as much coverage as we are getting within the municipality of Kings. There's more to be done. And so I say to you, we're not finished. I say to my friends in the federal and provincial governments, we're coming back. Our rollout was designed to be universal throughout the municipality of Kings. It was designed to be an interrupter so that we were able to put out the main highway for broadband services, and internet service providers were to have the opportunity, all of them, to jump on that highway and use it to provide services to individual homeowners, and they could offer different packages at competitive prices, perhaps. So we're not so much in that scene anymore. We'd like to get more into it, but there doesn't seem to have been a lot of faith in municipalities writ large by the various governments that are involved in the funding. So that, with that bit of a downer, go back to the upper. We're excited that we're able to do this. We're excited that our citizens will in fact be receiving improved and more fulsome internet broadband services, and no matter who the providers are. We're thankful, and you'll be hearing from the initial provider that we've communicated with, Cross Country, who will be the first on our system, which will be open, as I said, to others. We're happy that we're now going in our first iteration to Black Rock, Canada Creek, Woodville, North Grand Prairie, and surrounding areas. And in doing that, leveraging the CTI funding, the Connect to Innovate funding from the federal government of $2.5 million, with our own roughly $1 million from the property taxpayers. Bear in mind, it's all tax dollars. The $2.5 million, of course, coming from the federal government is income tax dollars, and the $1 million coming from the municipality of the County of Kings is property tax dollars. There is a distinction. We're happy. We're over the moon that we're able to provide these services. We hope that we can bring it back more closely to the original model that we had imagined. But thank you all for being here, and I'm delighted to announce to those people living in those areas that I just mentioned that by June of 2021, you will all have this service available to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Matart. And I can say, as the representative of a very rural district here in Kings County, we are very excited about the seriousness with which our provincial and federal governments are taking the need for rural internet. And we're a very willing partner, as you've outlined. So thank you for your remarks. So we've heard from the politicians. Next up, we're going to get maybe some technical knowledge about this project. So first I have Chad West from the municipality. He's the manager of IT, followed by Steve Scott from Cross Country. And then we have also, who I meant to mention at the beginning, Mr. Tim Little from K-Line Telecommunications Construction, who is here to answer any questions that we may have. All right, so over to you, Mr. West.
Firstly, thank you to MP Blois and Mayor Matart for your personal support of this project and for the support of the federal government and of municipal council. We wouldn't be here today without it. What I'd like to do is take a few minutes just to talk about some of the more technical aspects of the network design and the construction project. So much of the ongoing work since the original announcement for this project has been around identifying the barriers to entry that have prevented internet service providers from servicing these more rural communities, and then designing the network to address those barriers, to remove them. And so the upfront costs of preparing poles for use, commonly known as make-ready, and the yearly fees that are paid to attach to the poles, those are significant barriers that have prevented these residents from having service. And in addition, access to sufficient bandwidth locally in the area at competitive rates has also been an issue. So we worked with engineers from VistaCare Communications, designed an open access carrier neutral network. And this network will bring service to the communities that were identified by the mayor. And this network addresses those barriers by bringing a network that is already built that the ISPs can use. So there's no concern around those upfront costs that I had mentioned before, or the yearly fees. And by working together, we can achieve things that we couldn't achieve if everybody's trying to compete for the same areas. Make-ready work has been ongoing now for a couple of weeks, a number of weeks actually, and we have sufficient progress to now allow construction to begin. So construction has begun already on hanging fiber optic cable in the corridor from Windsor to Coldbrook. And this is the main segment of the backbone network to allow the capacity to service these communities. And then make-ready work will be sufficiently complete within the coming weeks to start work in the areas more close to these communities. So for the residents there, they'll start to see more activity around tree trimming and some cable that will start to be visible on the poles. Also recently, we've been able to confirm, as was previously mentioned, that Cross Country TV has signed on to be the first ISP to offer their service over the network. So we're happy to have Steve Scott here representing Cross Country TV today. And Steve's been instrumental in helping the municipality figure out exactly what it is that ISPs need and how we can support them in achieving this goal of bringing internet to these residents. So of course, as the mayor mentioned, we're well aware that there's still many communities that don't have service. This project really just lays the foundation for ensuring that we have a path to service not only these initial communities, but to service other communities in the area. So it's an extensible network that we can build upon to continue to expand as needed to service all the residents that need service in the municipality. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. West. Next up, we have Steve Scott from Cross Country, who is bringing some remarks from that organization. Mr. Scott.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Oh, great. Good morning. I'm Steve Scott. My wife and I own Cross Country TV. We're a local, actually the only local internet service provider in Kings County that's locally owned and operated. We're very proud of that. We've been in business since 1983, and it's really, when I think back, I guess, about all of the things that we've done over the years, it's really been to try to provide service out into rural areas where the larger companies have not been able to do that. We've done that through a variety of platforms over the years. We started with some wireless, and we now have the coax cable. And quite a few years ago, we actually were doing fiber optic, which is quite a first for a small community in this province. So that's been exciting for me, and I'm very happy to be part of this. And then the opportunity with the County of Kings came along, and it's a very good opportunity, so I'm appreciate the confidence that you're showing in our company to partner with you to get the job done. I really feel that's something that it's right down our alley of doing, and we're happy to be involved in this project. The goal really is to continue to make reliable, affordable, high-speed internet in the unserved areas, and this project really fits quite well with what we're doing. So I guess in closing, I'd just like to say a thank you for including us in this, and I think the residents will be glad that we're in the area, and I thank them for their patience, but it is coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Scott. It is extra special that we do get to partner with a local Kings County company with so many years of experience, and that makes us very proud. So thank you for being here today and for your partnership. So that concludes our remarks this morning. We will be gathering for a photo opportunity, but prior to that, I would ask that if there are any questions from media representatives or anyone else in the audience today, please feel free. If you just want to remove your mask, if you're distant, and say it, I can speak it into the microphone. And that way we can have it live for the folks at home. Any questions? Oh, okay, Mr. Kirk Stewart, go ahead. So I'll let you just so we can repeat it for the folks at home through the microphone in case they weren't able to hear it. So the first question was, how integral was the project to allow cross-country to expand? And the second question was, will this inform sort of further work in the future? Did I capture that correctly? Extending it further, absolutely. Okay, I'll let Amy sanitize, and then Mr. Scott, you can come on up here.
Very good. Yeah, thanks for that question. It's two very good points, actually. So I guess you have to realize, without getting too detailed, as was mentioned, the make-ready process is really one of the most expensive parts of initially getting that cable onto the poles. There's lots of necessary work that needs to be done. And that's always been the challenge for our company. And over the last 20 plus years, when we've been doing the cable line and then later the fiber line, that's been the number one challenge for us, is to try to figure out, how to get these people served and being able to still take it to the bank, if you will. So as a result, I feel that we've done, a lot of areas that, can be done economically. The rest that have never been done, the business case has just not been there. So this is what's ideal about this partnership with the CTI funding in the county, is that these low density areas, it helps enormously. It makes the difference of getting the project done and not getting it done. So hopefully that's the answer. And the second question was, sorry? Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That's absolutely the case. So in the Black Rock build, we've talked quite a bit about the whole project, and some of the things they can do with their funding and some of the things they can't do with their funding. And yeah, absolutely. So I have basically added on several kilometers to the adjacent side roads. There's the West Black Rock Road, the Rotting Road, and along the shore that aren't part of, for whatever reason, the initial build that the county and CTI is doing. So yeah, it was a great partnership that we can actually try to pull everything together. That's really what I've always been doing, is to try to maximize the coverage areas. So yeah, we've been able to make it work. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's a good deal. Thank you. I'll introduce you if you want. Yeah.
I'm just going to invite Tim Little to come on up and perhaps say a few words as well, just to add on to that piece. Come on up, Tim. Sure. I left my mouse.
So I'm Tim Little. I'm with K-Line Construction. I'm the telecommunications construction manager. So I won't be the man here looking after the project. We have a specific project manager assigned to this build that is local, and he'll be here for the duration of the build. But K-Line will be completing all aerial construction, splicing. There's some civil work that has to be done on the build, which we'll be looking after as well. And I guess I could also add that make-ready work has been brought up a few times. So K-Line's goal is to basically stay behind the make-ready and keep up with make-ready as it's being completed. So sometimes it's a hurry up and wait position, but our goal is to stay right in behind make-ready work. So cable will be put up as soon as make-ready is done, in a goal to meet the delivery date. But yeah, we're looking after all construction, all splicing, and K-Line is extremely happy to be involved in this project and to see it through to its completion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Do you have a follow-up question, Mr. Starrett?
If I could pose a quick question to MP Boyce.
Sure.
In a conversation I had with Prime Minister Trudeau on Tuesday following the announcement of the additional $750 million into the Universal Broadband Fund, he told me he was extremely confident that the goal of connecting 98% of all Canadians by 2026 was going to happen, and all Canadians by 2030. So I guess I just wanted to pose a question to MP Boyce. How integral is that additional $750 million investment to, say, reaching that goal nationwide?
Okay, so for the folks at home, how integral is the new Universal Broadband Fund recently announced by the federal government to the completion of connecting sort of the remainder of homes that were committed to by the federal government? And that question is to MP Boyce, so come on up.
Well, thank you very much for the question. I think it's the extra $750 million, of course, is going to help go to connecting more individuals. There's no doubt about that. The gentlemen behind me that are involved in the telecommunication industry would tell you that as we go and have more and more activities online, there's going to be more and more pressure on the existing infrastructure. And so there's other technologies like low Earth orbiting satellites, think Telesat, think SpaceX, that are coming online to be able to serve some of our most remote communities. Because as was already mentioned, the economies of scale of being able to get this infrastructure into some of the most rural and less densely populated communities is still going to be a challenge. So I think there's still going to need to be more investments. Part of that $1.75 billion was also a commitment to Telesat to have $600 million worth of contracts essentially to help them continue in that work. Many of the major companies in the world are moving in that direction, so it looks like that can be an alternative that's going to add additional bandwidth as kind of the population and we move in the direction of using even more and more digital connectivity. So I think it's crucial. I think that there's probably going to need to be more investment. I'm proud of our government having spent 10 times more than the last government in terms of actual funding, and I can certainly appreciate for those residents who they don't have this service yet. It can't come soon enough. We've connected almost 1.2 million Canadians since 2015. There's more work to be done, and some of that is going to include some of those partnerships with those LEOs and some of those other technologies as well for the most rural communities where even announcements like this will still be very difficult to have the economies and the money to be able to get to those communities. Do you have a follow-up just so on that, just so I don't make her come up and down? Okay, thank you, Kirk.
Thank you so much to our Member of Parliament, Cody Boyce, for your answer. Any further questions today before we wrap things up? seeing no one sort of jumping. I'll just, in summary, today marks the start of a construction period that's expected to be completed in June of 2021 that will run 80 kilometers of open access middle fiber to some of the remote communities on the North Mountain in our county. And I think that's something that could not be accomplished without the partnership between our service provider, our cross country, our construction company, K-Line, our Member of Parliament, and our Government of Canada, represented here by MP Blois, and then of course the municipality bringing things together and being a willing partner. And not to mention the technical expertise that our staff bring, who really enable us to sort of put these applications together and be able to roll out internet for all, which is obviously the goal in Kings County. So thank you so much for tuning in today, for those of you at home, for attending in person today, those of you in our audience. And we will now break for a photo opportunity, and thanks for tuning in today.